In lesson 212, we're going to learn to identify lines of symmetry. So this lesson, you're going to need a couple of different supplies. You will need your whiteboard marker, eraser. You will also need 2 Polygon sheets that went home in your Portage pickup at the end of October. One says Polygons A through E. The other one says Polygons F through J. And at the top, on the right-hand side, it says Lesson 212. You will also need a scissors and your math journal. So we'll warm up quickly by just doing a couple of problems on your whiteboard, and then you won't need that much more today. So number 1, go ahead, number 1, 2, and number 3. Today you are looking at expanded form. I would like you to put that into standard form. So what would each one look like? I'll do the first one for you. 3,000 plus 500 plus 60 plus 9 would be 3,569. Would you please do that for numbers 2 and 3? Go ahead. Pause the video, remember, if you think that you still need more time. Number 2 would be 7,346. And number 3, 9,058. Go ahead and erase that. I am going to work on the same screen. The next one, I would like you to go ahead and draw a rectangle. And I am going to say that this is 7 feet and this is 5 feet. I would like you to tell me the perimeter of this rectangle. Just a reminder that perimeter would refer to the distance around an object. Remember, there are 4 sides to it. So go ahead and tell me what the perimeter of this rectangle would be. Go ahead and pause the video. Well, perimeter would mean I would add the length, 7 plus 7, because there is a top and a bottom, and 5 plus 5. So 7 and 7 is 14. 5 and 5 is 10. So the perimeter would be 24 feet. Now imagine that same shape, I want to figure out the area. So that would be the amount of space inside of the rectangle. If I were going to paint a wall or put carpet down, and remember, area is length times width. Would you please figure out the area of the rectangle? Go ahead and write it on your whiteboard. So the length is 7, the width is 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Remember, we need a label. Feet squared or square feet. All right, let's go ahead and do one more warm-up problem. In this problem, you're going to write the number 30 on the top of your whiteboard, and you're going to use your multiplication chart if you do not have your facts memorized. Remember, it's also in the back of your math journal. So write down all of the factor pairs of 30. Remember that you always start with 1 times itself. Go ahead and pause the video and write down all of the factor pairs. Remember to pause the video. Don't write them just as I am doing it. Be honest and trustworthy. So we have 1 times 30. This is an even number. It ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So I know that 2 has to be a factor, even though it's not a basic fact. Because it ends in an even number, I know 2 is going to be a factor. 3 times 10 would be nothing times 4, but 5 times 6. And if I did the turnaround fact, guess what? 6 times 5 would equal it. Therefore, I know I have found all the factor pairs. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to need your math journal. And we'll get started with your math journal in just a minute, but make sure you have that. It says take a copy of Math Masters page 83, and that's actually what you're just seeing right there is half of a star. It shows half a picture. Fill in what you think the rest of the picture looks like. Now, you won't be able to write on the video, but you could use your crayon to draw kind of an invisible line or trace it with what your finger would do if it could draw. But I imagine it would look something like this. That each side, as best as I can, would look exactly the same. If I folded along this dotted line, each side would match up perfectly. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to learn about lines of symmetry, where you could fold an object in half and it would match up. So we're going to go on to journal page. Well, you're going to need those two pages, 84 and 85, the Polygon pages that I mentioned earlier, but you also need to be in your math journal on page 61. So you're going to see this on the top of page 50 or 61. It says cut out drawings on Math Masters, page 84. I'm not going to have you cut out these first four. Instead, I've just included them over here. This is what Math Masters page 84 would look like. So what you're going to do is use your finger or your crayon to make an invisible line where I could fold them so that the two sides would match up completely. So let's take a look at the leaf. Where could I fold that leaf so that both sides matched up completely? If I started at the bottom with my finger and the top, I'd be able to divide that from the top to the bottom and fold it along those lines. How about the football? Where could I fold it? Use your finger to trace the line where I could fold it, and there's more than one place. I could fold it in half this way, or I could fold it here. So right now, let's fill in. The leaf had one line of symmetry. The football had two lines of symmetry. The turtle, if I trace from the top to the bottom, I cannot trace this way. That doesn't work. You know why? Because if I folded the head, there's not a head on the other side. So there's only one line of symmetry on the turtle. Now take a look at the bow tie. How many lines of symmetry would you find if you were going to fold that bow tie in half? Well, I could fold along horizontally and also vertically. So it has two lines of symmetry. Now we're actually going to do some cutting and folding in our next activity. On your white pages on the polygons A through E, you're going to find the triangle A. It says cut out each polygon on Math Masters page 85 and 86, and that was in your Portage pickup from October 28th. You're going to fold to find all the lines of symmetry. So you actually have to cut it out and fold it. And I'm actually going to have you take a picture of this when you're done so that I know that you have done this. So go ahead and cut on the solid lines all around shape A, the triangle. You're going to go ahead and fold as many lines of symmetry as you can. And don't just stop when you think you have one or two. There could potentially be more than that. Go ahead and cut out. You will have to pause this and continue it once you have it folded and cut out. Once you have it cut out and folded, along those folded lines, you're going to draw in the line of symmetry with your pencil. So I am right now going to take my pencil and I'm going to trace over the folds. And that's what I'm going to ask you to take a picture of for me for today's assignment. So I am doing the same thing as I create this video. So I can fold along this line here. I folded here, and I folded one other place. That's what my shape A, the triangle, had 3 lines of symmetry. This actually, if you look at it, does anyone know what type of triangle this is? Look at all of the angles. They are all less than 90 degrees. And by the way, we would call that an acute triangle. Now we're going to move on to B. B is also a triangle. Go ahead and you are going to cut and fold to find the lines of symmetry. Go ahead and pause the video. Remember, you need to pause. This video will be longer today, quite a bit longer. So once you've cut out B and you have folded it, how many lines of symmetry did it have? Don't give up easily. Sometimes there can be more than one. There is 1 line of symmetry in B. So you are going to write 1 line of symmetry. Remember, I want you to draw in the line on your white triangle because you'll lay them all out and take a picture of it when you are done. Now, so far we know we have 3 and 1. Now we're going to take C, which is a square. You are going to cut out that square and you're going to fold it. And I will tell you there's more than 1 line of symmetry. You're going to fold it so that all sides, when you fold it one time, those 2 sides match up. How many lines of symmetry? Go ahead and try it. Remember to pause the video. Don't just keep letting it go. So on C, I could fold it here, fold it here, fold it diagonally. It actually has 4 lines of symmetry. So along those folds, will you please take a pencil and mark the line? Otherwise, when you take the video, I won't see your folds. Those will be pretty much invisible when you take a photo of it. Now we're moving on to D. D is a parallelogram. It doesn't have any right angles, but opposite sides, the top and the bottom are parallel, and the left side and right side are parallel. So go ahead and cut out D. Once you cut out D, you're going to go ahead and again, you're going to fold it. Once you get it cut out, Mrs. Hart is cutting hers out as well. Make sure that you're doing what is expected of you so that when you go back to school, either as a 4th or 5th grader, you'll have all of this information having been practicing it. So you're going to go ahead and fold D and figure out how many lines of symmetry. Go ahead and pause your video. Remember, don't give up easily. A lot of times there's more than 1 line of symmetry. So if I look at D, I know that I actually found, how many lines of symmetry did you find? I found 2. I'm going to go ahead on D and I'm going to take my folds and I'm just going to take my pencil and darken that fold in so that Mrs. Hart can see it when you take a picture of it. So 2 lines of symmetry on D. 1 more shape for that page, and that is D. So just reminding you what so far we've had. E is a rectangle. Go ahead and cut out rectangle E, fold it to figure out how many lines of symmetry. Go ahead and pause the video. When I cut out rectangle E, I notice that opposite sides are parallel. So the top and the bottom are parallel. The right side and the left side are parallel. I also found out that it has 2 lines of symmetry. Would you go ahead and draw in along those folds to darken and so that I can see that you have found the lines of symmetry. There are 2 lines for shape E. Now we're going to move on to our next polygon sheet, polygon F through J. And we're going to do the same thing, but we have a little bit different shapes here. So we may actually find that some of these shapes do not have any lines of symmetry at all. So we're going to start with F. F is a parallelogram. It's in the middle here. The left side and the right side are parallel, and the top and the bottom. The difference is it doesn't have any right angles. So go ahead and cut out F and see how many lines of symmetry. Stop your video so that you can complete this. So when you took shape F, the parallelogram, did you find anything unusual? Do you know what? No matter how I folded it, it didn't have any lines of symmetry. None. 0. All right, let's go ahead and take shape G. So find shape G. Go ahead and cut out G. Pause the video and begin folding and find how many lines of symmetry. After I cut out polygon G, I found it had 1 line of symmetry. All right, let's go with G, or we just did G, I'm sorry, H. So look at H. It is a triangle. And the first thing I notice is it has a right angle. And anytime a triangle has 1 right angle, it's called a right triangle. So go ahead and cut out H, fold it, and see how many lines of symmetry. Go ahead and pause the video. What did you find out about H? Do you know that H doesn't have any lines of symmetry? There's no way that you can fold it, that the sides match up. It has 0 lines of symmetry. Now let's go ahead with I. It's a 5-sided shape. Does anyone know what a 5-sided shape is called? We have a building in Washington, D.C. that's named after this shape. It is called a pentagon. Now be careful with this one. You might be surprised at how many lines of symmetry, so don't stop too quickly until you've practiced folding and trying it many different ways. So go ahead and cut it out, fold it, and tell me how many lines of symmetry it has. Don't be afraid to take a few moments. This is probably one of the longest videos that we will have. But make sure that you take your time to fold it many different ways. Did you notice anything about I? Do you know what I found? It had a lot of lines of symmetry. In fact, it's the one that has the most so far. So when I folded mine, I had a line of symmetry. Turn my pen on here, my crayon. Sometimes when I haven't used my crayon for a while, it turns itself off. So I had a line of symmetry here. 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 And I had a line of symmetry here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines of symmetry. In fact, this is a very special polygon. It is called a regular polygon or a regular pentagon. The word regular means that all sides are the same length. So if I look at this side, this side, this side, this side, and this side, they're all the same length. So it had 5 sides that are the same length. It had 5 lines of symmetry. We have one last one. would you please cut out J? Cut out polygon J. You're going to go ahead and figure out how many lines of symmetry. I noticed that it's very similar. It has another side compared to I, but I do notice something about the lengths of the side. So go ahead, cut it out, fold it, and see how many lines of symmetry. I so appreciate that you're being responsible and stopping the video and doing what is asked of you. So I can count 6 lines of symmetry. 6 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know that this is called a regular hexagon? All sides are the same length. Now in number 3 on journal page 61, it says how many lines of symmetry are in a pentagon with 5 equal sides? Well, look back. There were 5. Fill in 5. How many lines of symmetry are in a hexagon with 6 equal sides, which was polygon J? 6. Do you see a pattern going on here? How many lines of symmetry would you expect in an octagon with 8 equal sides? There's not an octagon here, but make a prediction. Notice. Did you say 8? All right. What I'd like you to do, the last thing we're going to do for this video is circle the polygons that are symmetrical. So remember, we're still on journal page 61, so you're going to work this out right on your math journal page. So 3 of them are symmetrical and 1 is not. So in your math journal, circle the polygons that are symmetrical. Go ahead. This looks awfully similar to what we just did. We've seen this and we saw this. This is called an equilateral triangle or an acute triangle. The only one that is not is the first one. Now, listen carefully to what I want you to do. I want to make sure that you are accountable for doing what I asked. So I would like you to take all of your polygons, all 10, and I want you to lay them out. And you are going to take a picture of them and you're going to upload it to Schoology. So that way I know that you've done what I've asked during this lesson 212 on identifying lines of symmetry.